Welcome to Planning Ahead with CMS. In this episode, we will look at in greater detail at amending the conditions attached to planning permissions using Section 73 minor material amendments. This will be in the context of two significant and recent judgments, both decided in 2019. First, we'll look at the London Borough of Lambeth and the Secretary of State for Housing, Communities and Local Government. And second, we'll look at Finney and the Welsh ministers. So first, the Lambeth case. In this case, the first planning permission was granted for a DIY store and it was subject to what's known as a bulky goods restriction. Basically, you can only sell things that you need a car to move. This was followed by a series of Section 73 permissions, the last of which failed to reinstate the bulky goods restriction. This highlighted the issue of which conditions would apply to the new planning permission. An application was made to the council for a certificate of lawful use on the basis that the new planning permission contained no condition restricting the range of goods which could be sold from the premises. This went to appeal and the planning inspector concluded that given the condition hadn't been reimposed on the new planning permission, the retail unit could be used in an unrestricted way. Lambeth's appeal against the decision by the planning inspector was dismissed by both the High Court and then the Court of Appeal, but finally it was allowed by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court concluded that the goods restriction still applied. So, to avoid future uncertainty with Section 73 planning permissions, local authorities are encouraged to repeat the relevant conditions from the original permission, but they don't have to. A wider problem here is the courts appear to be going bolder in making planning decisions based on the preferred outcome rather than the strict interpretation of the planning permission that's been placed in front of them. Next, we're going to talk about the Finney case. Finney concerns a wind farm in Wales, which had sought to vary the conditions of a planning permission using a Section 73. The description of development stated that the maximum height of the wind turbines could be 100 metres tall. The developer wanted to increase the height of the wind turbines to 125 metres. This request was rejected by the council, but allowed by a planning inspector on appeal. But the appeal court overturned the planning inspector's decision. They decided that the amendment should not have been permitted by the planning inspector and held that a Section 73 application for a minor material amendment cannot be used to amend the description of development or impose a condition which would be inconsistent with that description of development. Section 73 can only be used to vary the conditions attached to that planning permission in accordance with the development described in the description. The description of development in a planning permission can only be amended using a Section 96A non-material amendment, and then it can only be done if the amendment itself is non-material. This is important because it significantly reduces the scope of what can be changed using Section 73. To make these kind of changes, it's now necessary to develop a consenting strategy, which may include a collection of concurrent or consecutive applications to the local planning authority. Please join us in the next episode when we'll be doing our in-depth interview on the Hillside case with Charles Banner KC.